very own state of Oklahoma. It was truly a rags to riches story, but unfortunately, it came without a fairy tale ending. The person I'm talking about is Mickey Mantle. I'm going to tell you about his childhood, his baseball career, and ultimately something that probably cut his life short: his alcoholism. So, as a child, he grew up in the small town of Spavinaw, Oklahoma. He was the son of a miner as in he dug in the mines, not under 18. His father was an avid baseball player, and he wanted his son to be very good too. He was determined to turn him into a Major League Baseball player, and this ultimately paid off. Later on in Mickey Mantle's life, when he was 16, he played for the Baxter Springs Whiz Kids. Most kids were not considered for the Whiz Kids until they were 18, but he was good enough that they went ahead and let him on. After high school, he was signed to the Yankees Class D team in Independence, Kansas. From there, he went to play for the Class C team in Joplin, Missouri, and from there went straight to the Yankees. No one had ever done that before, and I don't think anyone's ever gone straight to the Yankees from there since. While at the Yankees, he displayed phenomenal abilities. For one thing, he was very fast. One time on a drag bunt, he was clocked at going from home plate to first base in 2.9 seconds. So try running up to a ball and getting that kind of speed out. And in 1956, this is his best season that he ever had. He led the major leagues in 6 offensive categories: batting average, on-base percentage, homers, RBIs, slugging percentage, and run score. But despite those phenomenal abilities he displayed, a lot of people think he never did reach his. A lot of people don't think he ever reached his full potential, partly because of his injuries. For one thing, his leg was a constant weakness. As a child, he had osteomyelitis in his leg, but he was given penicillin for that, and that cured his leg, but it was never the same since. He was almost always playing through pain, and pain will always slow you down. But another thing that probably slowed him down was his alcoholism. Throughout his baseball career and beyond, Mickey Mantle drank very heavily. He was the center fielder for the New York Yankees, which was the most prominent sports position of its time. So he had crowds following him. He was at a lot of social events. At those social events, people would give him beers or drinks or something. He would drink just about everywhere he went, and it really got out of control. So this alcoholism he really did not take care of his body, and he was forced to retire at the age of 36. This is a quote from a book called The Last Hero by David Faulkner. It's an autobiography of Mickey Mantle. This is what Mantle was quoted as saying about how his alcoholism really affected him. So Mantle was asked by an interviewer what he felt when he saw pictures and film footage of himself as a young player. He answered, "When I see even as late as 1968, but all the way back to 1951 when I was really young, I can be watching these things and I keep thinking, that I can't really hardly remember playing. It's like it's someone else. At home in my trophy room, we have a den that we call a trophy room that's got all the most valuable players and silver bats and pictures all over the walls and everything. It's like it's somebody else. I mean, it's not like it's me, I can hardly remember it." I think that tells you how much he was drinking if he can't even remember 18 years of his life. So it was soon discovered that he had a bleeding ulcer in his stomach, probably caused by all the alcohol he had. And that was kind of a wake-up call for him. This was real. If he didn't fix this, it was going to be bad. So he was admitted into the Betty Ford Center for Alcoholism in 1993, and there he was able to quit drinking completely. If any of you know any alcoholics, you know that is a phenomenal feat to be able to quit after a lifetime of drinking. Well, soon afterwards, he was discovered that he had cirrhosis of the liver, and he was able to get a transplant for it, but during the transplant, it was discovered that he had inoperable cancer, and he really he only had months to live. So during his final months, he founded the Mickey Mantle Foundation, which stresses the importance of being an organ donor. And, well, he also spent his last few years telling people not to be like him, even though he was idolized throughout his entire life. He had a lot of regrets in his life, and alcoholism was really at the root of all that. But in the end, he was not only a hero for his baseball skills, but for recognizing his faults and at least trying to overcome them at the end of his life. He died at the young age of 63. Well, relatively young anyway, but he probably would have lived much longer had he taken better care of himself. Even though he wasn't the perfect person, I admire Mickey Mantle for at least being able to recognize his own faults and trying to overcome them rather than just burying them.